Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and boy did we have a decision day for season 12. We're going to talk about this, but before we jump into this video, if you're new here, hit that subscribe button, turn on your notifications. If you like the video, hit the like button, and also feel free to drop a comment down in the comment section below, because I like to engage with my viewers and subscribers and send shout outs. So, without further ado, let's jump into this video. So, yes, we are finally at decision day and whatever drama that comes along with it. We have been able to watch the journey for these 5 couples over the past 4 months, since January 13th. And it definitely was an unforgettable decision day. Some will stay together. Others will choose divorce. And then there's one couple who even refused to make a decision. But, you know, this has been the most interesting season that I've watched. I thought season 10 was really crazy. And season 11 kind of gave us a reprieve. But season 12 has been a journey for sure. And I sound like Ryan when I said that, right? But, you know, this is one season that we really got to see a lot of the experts' emotions because of a specific couple. So let's jump into our first couple. So we have Clara and Ryan, and as we know how their journey started, it started pretty good. You know, the only thing that was the big issue, because they connected on a lot of different levels. I mean, she was definitely the one with the sparky personality, and Ryan was the one that was more reserved. He also, as you guys remember, never said the L word, I love you. And he never actually said that with anybody. But I will say, showing up at decision day, Clara looks really, really nice. And then we can't forget also about the issue with the sexual intimacy or the physical intimacy. But she definitely looked like she is nervous. I don't know if you guys noticed that rash that was on the side of her neck, like she had broke out in hives or something. I know sometimes my mom is that way. When she gets really, really nervous, she'll break out. So I don't know if that's the situation. But the thing about this couple is that there's definitely sexual frustration, especially on Clara's side. And the thing is, and I think Jamie called her out on this on one of the previous episodes of Unfiltered, whether or not she's pretending to have the perfect marriage. Remember the whole 10 out of 10 thing? Now, I mean, Ryan, however, may be Clara's best relationship, but whether they're perfect, because nothing's perfect, whether it's, you know, he's perfect for her, you know, it remains to be seen. Marriage is a commitment. So is love. They have to work through these things. And I don't think Ryan is opposed to that. However, Clara does want to stay married. Ryan, on the flip side, and I don't know if this was editing, because they try to build up anticipation, but Ryan started to ramble a little bit, only to tell her also that he wants to stay together. And, you know, I wonder is that, you know, the producers are asking them, hey, you know, I need you guys, don't answer right away, build up suspense, whatever it is. The question is, after this point, now that they decided to stay married, is Ryan going to drop the L word? That's the big question. And then is he also going to fulfill Clara's sexual needs anytime soon? So that remains to be seen. We're not done yet. We got 2 more episodes all the way to the end of this month. But I'm glad that they did choose to stay together. The thing is where do they go from here? Real life begins now as the subject of this particular episode, but they are definitely happy, it seems. There's probably a lot of things going on behind the scenes that we don't see, because they do hours and hours and hours of filming. However, we only get to see 1%. So obviously they know the substance or the foundation of their relationship. So we'll see where they go from here. So let's talk about Jacob and Haley. And as you guys remember, they started off really well. I mean, there was a little bit awkwardness at the wedding, but when they went to the Vegas honeymoon, I mean, it seemed like she was so relaxed and she let go. And remember, you guys, she did sleep with him. But after that, it took a turn for the worse. And their relationship has been one outside of one of the other tumultuous relationships this season. Now, I mean, for a moment in time, we do see little snippets of them, trying to get along. But remember, there's the whole issue with his trust issues because he's been burned in the past. And then her issues with always winning, being competitive. She nitpicked him to death on a lot of different things. And then the other thing is that bracelet. That was a whole issue and the dismissiveness about it. But looked like Jacob, when he saw Haley, because she looked really nice. That dress was extremely gorgeous on her. I think he was kind of shocked. But that still didn't resolve any of the underlying issues that they had with each other throughout this experiment. She's definitely in a good mood when she arrives, but I mean, maybe she's thinking like, this is the end of this. I can get my life back. Who knows? But, they both admitted that they learned a lot about themselves throughout the experiment. And, even though, Jacob has been up and down about that, because I remember him saying at one point, I didn't learn anything. And then he said in a different scenario, he did learn something. And then he went back to, I think, later in the after party, which we'll talk about that later. He didn't learn something again. So who knows? Jacob is the oldest of the group. And as a lot, sometimes the older you get more set in your ways. I honestly don't think that these two should have been paired together. And I remember Pastor Cal saying something about, oh my God, do you actually, you guys, you fans actually think we put people together for drama? Maybe possible, because these two, even though, like I said, it clicked in the very beginning, there's still a lot of fundamental differences in them. I mean, there's a 10-year difference, but ultimately, they asked Jacob if Haley wanted to stay in the marriage, would he do so? And he said, no, we had 8 weeks to do it and I'm done. And so was she. And, I agree. They both need to just move on with their life, and I wish them the best. All right, well, let's talk about our next couple who pretty much got most of the drama this season. And I know one of the biggest things, somebody posted the ratings for this season, because I don't think season 11 was in the top 25. But this one particular couple pretty much carried the drama on the show, or who knows, production, them, the whole gambit, whatever. But as we remember, with both Chris and Paige, their relationship was up and down. It started off early. The comments that was made that we heard on the show about how he was not attracted to her. And then there's this issue with the baby and his ex, and he's still in love with her, or he still loves her, and then the buying of the car. And then there was moments where it seemed like he wanted to try, and then he didn't want it to try, and Paige was sticking in for all of it. So, a lot of the fans, their stress levels were through the roof. I like to analyze things. I tend to be in control of my emotions. So it was interesting to watch this season with them. So that's my take on it. I didn't let it get me to a level of annoyance, because I was interested to see the whole psychology of the whole thing. Anywho, the interesting thing about this particular couple is that it seemed as if they had second thoughts. Now, they talked about the different things that happened over them within the first 4 weeks of their marriage, because after the fourth week, as we all know, they ended their marriage, or they went their separate ways. And, Paige told the experts that she felt used and undervalued by her husband. When they asked Chris if he would do anything differently, he did admit that he made mistakes and wishes that he had shown Paige more affection. Then things turned extremely emotional. And then while he was talking, the experts were kind of looking amongst each other, because I guess everything that they saw and what we saw in the season versus what they were actually saying to the experts were in a difference. And so, of course, everybody, pretty much had the perception, meaning the experts, of what is really going on here. Are you playing games? What is the situation? But then one thing that Chris did mention is that Mercedes did have a miscarriage, and he became extremely emotional about the situation, and he walked out. Of course, the experts, some of them look like Pastor Cal felt some sympathy, but the other two women, they were looking like, okay, what is this now? So he was very extremely emotional and upset about the situation. And not only about that situation, but the fact he mentioned in the car to Paige of how he wasn't a great husband. And he took her through all this unnecessary drama, all because he said that he was trying to guard his heart. Yeah, but in the process of guarding his heart, he ended up hurting her. Now, she did, at the same time, try to be there. And the other thing was, Chris was really shocked by the fact that after everything he said that he put her through, at the end of this, she is still there consoling him. And he was like, I got a good woman here, a good wife. And, he gave her his coat, because I know in the previews that was one of the things. But I want to mention, because Mercedes posted this on Instagram, because there are people doubting her situation, whether she was even pregnant. She pretty much said anybody that doubt her can go where. And if you want to pause the video, you can see it. But obviously they've been getting some flack because some people thought it was really convenient that all of a sudden she had a miscarriage when this comes to an end. But I can't speak on that. I'm not there, and I'm going to respect anybody who has to say that, because I don't know. So, anywho, so they came back, and, Pastor Cal told Chris, he needs to let Paige go if she wanted to leave. And before they even got to that, there was this whole thing about now it's time for them to make a decision. The interesting thing is that they couldn't make a decision, because he started saying these things about Paige that, how extraordinary of a woman she is, and I have feelings for her. And, they were undecided. Now, whatever the connection in there with these two, people call it toxic. It's just interesting to watch, because this back and forth that's going on between these two, one moment, the hot and cold. Now, I do know he's a Libra. Libras can tend to be indecisive. She's a Cancer. So they're very sensitive and emotional. So, I could see the dynamics in the two, but the thing is, I don't think that I'm not them, but I just don't think that they are the right people to be together in the same space in a relationship. It's just not doable. It's not viable for those two, So, obviously, one thing that Paige mentioned when she was in the car is that Chris needed to take care of his mental health. And again, this was 6 months ago. Decision day was at the end of October of 2020. But the other thing is, he has been getting counseling. I know he's been talking about that on social media. Hopefully it's helpful and it's working. This is also the same scene where we saw Dr. Viviana really try to say, hey, I think you're playing with her. I think you're playing with us. And he got kind of a little upset about that. And, I guess part of, I don't know if his counseling, I think he talked about is not being so easily triggered. But, he backed down. And then, of course, this is where we had Paige kind of speak up for him to say, I appreciate you guys, but, this is where we are. She kind of toned down the situation, but then she got to a point where she got confused. She was upset. She walked off because it was like, no, I can't do this. So now first she wanted to stay in the marriage, and then she had second thoughts and was like, I don't think I could do this. And this is where, I heard Chris in the background telling production, hey, can you take my wife home? And I just thought all of that was pretty interesting. Let me know what you guys think. But they both separated within the room. He went and tried to have his microphones taken off. And then, of course, Paige is talking to production. And production said, didn't you have a decision when you walked in here? And she said, yeah. She said, why is that changing? And so, obviously, from everything that Chris had said at their, conversation, that's why. But Pastor Cal was like, look, dude, you need to make a decision and be the man that I know you can be. And I thought that was a pretty nice scene because somebody do need to step up and pull his coattail a little bit. And I'm glad Pastor Cal had that side moment where he was able to talk to him, and Chris seemed very receptive to it. He wasn't upset, he didn't get defensive or triggered or anything, but at the same time, Paige pretty much, and the other experts was like, what is going on? I think Paige really wants to go, but she don't want to go, and she was torn, because obviously she has feelings for this man, who is legally her husband, and for whatever reason, Chris is giving the impression that he has a change of heart, whether he has regret or whatever the situation is, because of whatever reason that he put his guards up. But at the end, Paige decides to choose herself in this situation, and that she said that, at this point, I don't think I'm going to be able to move forward with him. Chris said he started out in this journey trying to be married, and he ended up not with a wife at the end of this. So, it's going to be interesting to see where they go. I do remember Pastor Cal say, hey, we can be mad and annoyed at him, but Paige is not. I'm not going to be annoyed and mad at him either. People get to choose and make their own decisions. No matter how we feel, they're going to do what they want to do in the end. So we'll see what happened with them. Okay, so let's talk about our next couple, Eric and Virginia. Now, as you remember, they started off beautifully. I mean, Eric is so happy about his new wife. Now, they have a little bit of an age difference. I think it's about maybe 7 or 8 years. They're not as far apart as Jacob and Haley was, but they definitely had their ups and downs. Their relationship was like a roller coaster because there was a lot of bickering, but they also had good moments. There's the issue, though, about moving in the house with Eric instead of getting a new place. The whole thing about her guy friends and drinking and all of this. So it's their turn to now make a decision. And it was pretty much a very lighthearted decision. This was actually the second day of decision day, and I found it interesting. I don't know if you guys noticed, but even though this was the next day, they still have the same outfits on. So I don't know if they stayed up overnight, kind of like how the Bachelorette does or the Bachelor does on their initial whatever, and they up all night. But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. But, Eric and Virginia both agreed that their good moments outweigh the bad. And my question is, because he is very grounded, he seems to be a very conservative guy. However, Virginia is this girl who is a freeing spirit. She definitely has the type of personality that is not as uber conservative, but at the same time, Of course, she has her own boundaries, because that's one of her boundaries about, we need to get a separate place. I don't want to move in with you, and the whole dog situations and, things like that. But do I think they can work through their issues? Yeah. I mean, she's 28 and I think he's 34. So she's at that tail end of the 20s where you start to begin to figure out, okay, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? I didn't have my fun, because at a point in time, that's probably going to get old, going out partying 2 times a week with your friends, and you're married now, so she's probably going to have to make some adjustments. Marriage is about not completely changing your identity, but it's also about trying to make some equal compromises and things. And he tried to propose, got on his knee with a ring. I'm like, you trying to copy Mr. Woody? Because Woody did this last season with Amani. But she said yes after his proposal, and they decided to absolutely stay married. And of course, the experts are super excited. But they're going to have to, their value system is going to have to meet somewhere in the middle where they're able to accept each other's values, because some of them are a little different. He's set in his ways about certain things, and so is she. And they just have to make some adjustments in order to make sure that they fit in each other's space and be able to stick in it with this marriage. And, marriage is a commitment. Love is a commitment. You have to, be able to stick through it, through both the highs and the lows, and work through those things. So we'll see what happened with these two. So last but not least, and very not least, we got Brianna and Vincent. And Brianna and Vincent started off great. The whole wedding thing about her being bossy was pretty much the whole narrative of their season. And the other part is him being not afraid to show his emotions and how he felt about situations. Do I think that it's going to be a deal breaker with those two? Because I've been watching and monitoring the comments, and I've seen people say, oh my God, Brianna, run. This guy is an emotional cannonball who's ready to explode. I must say, and I'll say this about the other couples, the show tend to highlight more of their negatives than their positives. If they only highlighted the positives, it would be a Hallmark movie. This is a show for drama, and they definitely highlight the drama. And they definitely highlight those emotional moments that he had and those direct, assertive moments that Brianna had. Some people call it bossy. Some people call it assertive, However, they need to learn how to communicate better, because that's one of the things that they're talking about. They admitted that they're very different people. But they agreed to compromise at necessary times, which is extremely important in a marriage. That's what I was saying a little bit earlier about Eric and Virginia. They were one of our strongest couples this season. And it didn't surprise me much that Brianna wanted to stay together. But before Vincent agreed, they built that drama. And he was saying some things about her that brought her to tears. And, of course, the ultimate goal you would hope when people come into this social experiment, because that's what it is. I know we try to treat it like this marriage and the typical traditional way of dating. This is an experiment. These people are only together for 8 weeks, 2 months. And to see if it would work. But these two, because they were a stronger couple, they had their little emotions with, of course, Vincent and her assertiveness. But the thing is that he definitely loves his wife. She loves her husband. And he also decided to get on his knee. And underneath the couch, he grabbed a box. And when he flipped the lid, it says, Brianna, do you want to stay married, or will you marry me and stay married with a cheesecake inside? And it was so sweet because the cheesecake is Brianna's favorite, and she cried about that. And one of the things that she had always talked about is, oh, are you listening? Are you communicating? I communicate to you. Pay attention to me. He definitely remembered her favorite. And this is a couple that I'm looking forward to watching on Couples Cam. I know probably Ryan and Clara and Eric and Virginia may also be on Couples Cam, but this one definitely. So I'm excited to see their future, and hopefully we get some babies. So let's talk about post-decision day together. So following the decisions, all of the cast members from season 12 decided to gather for a backyard get-together. Now, originally, everybody showed up but one person, and I honestly think, I don't know if this was a work situation. He got there late, and before you jump on the whole thing about him not having a job, the guy has 3 other businesses. So, it is what it is. But it seemed like it was daylight when they were there, and I think he came in later in the day, but we'll get to that situation. But pretty much everybody talked about their decisions and how they were made. Virginia talked about her situation and Eric asking her father for his blessing. Paige told the group that she thought about staying married to Chris, but everyone was, relieved to hear that she ended up choosing divorce. And as the situation and the conversation was taking place, because I think Paige says something about, and don't quote me, don't hold this against me if I'm wrong, but I think she said what was the turning point is he made a statement. It was like, oh, and I'll put it in notes because I don't want to misquote. But as she was talking, Chris arrived to the party. And he carried that box. Now, that box has been a topic of conversation for the last 24 hours. Because I remember everybody's asking, what was in the box? And somebody asked him on the live. Because he did a live last night, which I posted on this channel, what was in that box. But he actually showed up and congratulated the successful couples. And then he went into giving an apology for his actions throughout the season, which, of course, made Paige very proud of him. She had this big smile. And honestly, this is something that he needed to do because between the disruptions that happened on the RTVs that they did in the desert at the Vegas trip, what happened with him and Eric at that dinner, he felt that it was necessary to do this because it was a disruption. He said that, I shouldn't have disrupted the process of your marriages and the weddings. And Eric was very gracious. He allowed that grace to extend an acceptance of his apology because the biggest issues were really between them two, with him, Eric, and his wife, Virginia. And so Chris definitely felt the necessary or the need to apologize to everybody. And the biggest thing, he would definitely need to apologize, which he felt that he had done, from what we heard, to Paige as well. And everybody kind of seemed to be relieved because they didn't know what to expect when he showed up. But everybody relaxed. They started laughing and having a good time. The evening ended on a positive note. He even shook hands with Eric, after they, squashed the whole thing with the confrontation earlier this season. And then, Paige told him, I am so proud of you. I honestly don't think things ended with those two. Because they even left together. I don't know if that meant anything, if the camera say, hey, you two walk out 2 by 2. But I honestly think that and from what I heard, we'll see at the reunion, because there was some clips about that too, when Chris was like talking about reconciling before Kevin and the whole altercation. I don't know what was said. We'll get to see it. Everything is made for drama because it keeps you watching. But this is where we are. And that was the end of the season and their after season event. So let me know what you guys think. Would there be peace at the reunion? There's a part 1 and a part 2 over the next 2 weeks on Lifetime. So I'm definitely looking forward to that. It's been an interesting season, guys, and you guys have been awesome with your comments. So speaking of that, I like to do post notification shout outs. So for this video, I have the first one, which is to Amina B. Thank you so much for engaging in the channel. I really appreciate it. And last but not least, Divine Me. Thank you as well. And I don't know, I'll keep that as an option to do the Hill season 2. Let me know if you guys want to watch that as well if I do recap. So until part 1 and part 2 of the reunion, like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you in the next couple weeks.